Welcome everyone, this is Kerjims channel. Now we are back to our new episodes of True Similarity Champions and Comparison, featured by Wild League of Legends versus the Mobile Legend Bang Bang. But before that, please like and subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the bell icon. You will be notified to our new next episode video. Let's do this!
Tryndamere is a melee fighter who focuses on dealing huge damage with his basic attacks. This spotlight will focus on his legendary Demon Blade Tryndamere skin. This skin has a different model, animations, voiceover, and particle effects compared to his default look. Tryndamere's passive is Battle Fury. Tryndamere's attacks, critical strike, and killing blows build fury. As Tryndamere gains fury, his critical strike chance increases. Bloodlust gives Tryndamere bonus damage based on how much health he has. He gains a small amount of damage for being full, but he gains the most benefit at 1 health. Tryndamere may activate Bloodlust to consume all of his fury, healing him based on how much fury was used. Mocking Shout reduces the attack damage of all nearby enemy champions. Enemies that have their backs turned are also slowed for a few seconds. Spinning Slash sends Tryndamere to target location, damaging all enemies along his path. Every time Tryndamere lands a critical strike, the cooldown on Spinning Slash decreases. Undying Rage gives Tryndamere bonus fury and makes him immune to death for a few seconds, holding at 1 health if he were to take fatal damage. This ability can be cast while stunned, silenced, or otherwise incapacitated. As an added note, you typically want to use Bloodlust to heal yourself right as Undying Rage ends to help you survive. I play Tryndamere as a jungler, which allows me to farm without interference and also enables me to gank without my opponents expecting it. Ask a teammate to pull the golems, which allows you to take the camp down without receiving too much damage. Transition to the Wraith, Wolves, and then the buff golem, giving it to whichever teammate can best use it. I head over to gank bottom lane. I lead in with Mocking Shout, and then Spinning Slash. We crush Blitzcrank's health and pick up the kill despite Alistar's stuns. I smack Alistar with a critical strike and walk out of turret range. Seeing him get low, I play too aggressively. I'm about 1 minion kill from level 6, but instead of killing one to get my ultimate, I recklessly dive Alistar and die underneath the turret as I get stunned. When your ultimate is up, you can take most fights if you play well. Fighting Vladimir in mid lane, I start aggressively. I wait for Sanguine Pool, but unfortunately he turns around right as I use Mocking Shout. Thankfully, I can still chase him using Flash and Spinning Slash to dive him underneath his turret. The scariest part here is getting away from the turret. Right as Undying Rage is about to time out, I take a turret shot, then use Bloodlust, letting me take another attack as I walk out of range. As I get into a fight in mid, I run once Alistar uses his ultimate. I head back in once Tara shows up, stunning Vayne. I take her down with just a few basic attacks and Spinning Slash. Turning to Vladimir, he's unable to sufficiently damage me, as I deal tons of damage and have lifesteal. Once he falls, I can easily chase Alistar, who's already used his ultimate. Thanks to Taric, I pick up 3 kills without even touching Undying Rage. I get pulled into the enemy turret by Blitzcrank. I run out and use Undying Rage right as I'm about to die. Yorick makes a clone of me with Ominous Death, while I try to focus Vladimir. I notice that my clone has taken Blitzcrank to 1 hit, so I get the kill. Vladimir is now unable to out-damage my lifesteal, so I take a second kill without any trouble. I take down the mid turret, but run due to the amount of escapes and stuns on the enemy team. Upon fighting Blitzcrank, I use Undying Rage at the last possible second. After I take him down, I look at the available targets. While Alistar is close by, Vayne is much more important, so I kill her with Spinning Slash and a critical strike. Undying Rage times out as I die, but I've been targeted by Yorick's Omen of Death, so in my short second life, I dive on a Tristana, picking up the kill before expiring. We get into a fight in the enemy jungle. Blitzcrank appears to be an easy target, so I go for him first. Unfortunately, his team shows up and he flashes out. Still healthy, I turn to Vladimir. I get him low, but his team shoves me into the wall. I turn on Undying Rage and chase him down with Spinning Slash. At this point, I should run up and around the wolf camp, flanking Blitzcrank, Tristana, and Vayne. Instead, I make the mistake of diving back down through Alistar, dying to Pulverize. Basically, always be aware that Tryndamere can disengage and get back into the action pretty frequently. Don't lock yourself into only thinking about attacking straight forward. One advantage of Tryndamere's extremely high damage output is that you can take down Baron Nashor very quickly. When attempting Baron, always note that he will physically attack the single closest target, so so make sure at least one teammate is closer to Baron than you are, otherwise you lose half your damage output. Upon spotting Vayne, I spinning slash just to get into range for Mocking Shout. The extreme slow allows us to catch up, and she turns around knowing that her escape is impossible. We keep chasing even though Alistar lands a great pulverize. I'm able to tag Tristana with Mocking Shout and chase with Spinning Slash. After the kill, I Spinning Slash out of turret range because it's attacking me. I use Undying Rage at the last possible second, turning to kill Blitzcrank with the help of my team. Thankfully, I get just out of range of Alistar when he tries to jump me. I turn around to kill him with a critical strike before leaving the base. Tryndamere is extremely position reliant. Diving headfirst into Vayne gets me shoved around and makes me use Undying Rage before even dealing any damage. Thankfully, I am able to use Spinning Slash and Flash to take out Tristana. But if I had taken any other angle of attack at the beginning, I'd have survived this fight. I managed to separate Vladimir from the rest of his team and dive relentlessly to pick up the kill. However, I make a huge mistake in using Undying Rage well before I'm about to die. At no point do I actually drop below 1 health during its duration. As a result, Blitzcrank and Tristana clean me up, even though I could have killed at least one of them very easily. The single most important thing to do as Tryndamere is to dodge disruptive tanks. Here I know a teamfight will start, and I use Spinning Slash and Flash attempt over Alistar, heading straight for Vayne. Oracle's Elixir allows me to take her down despite her invisibility. As I chase Vladimir, I note the duration of my ultimate. Hemoplague would certainly have killed me, so I retreat to find another opening. I turn onto Blitzcrank and kill him quickly. For runes, I take attack speed marks, flat armor seals, attack speed glyphs, and armor penetration quintessences. This setup allows me great jungle control, and builds my Fury Bar rapidly with attack speed. My masteries are 2109, focusing on all the physical damage modifiers and offense, and taking increased neutral buff duration and utility. I take Smite and Flash for jungle speed and maneuverability in battle. I max Bloodlust right away for healing and damage output. I take Spinning Slash at level 2 and leave it there, focusing on Mocking Shout to heavily debuff my opponents throughout the mid-game. For items, I open with a Vampiric Scepter. I take Berserker's Greaves and Yomu's Ghostblade as my first major investment. From there, I head up to Infinity Edge for massive damage output. After that, I max out my Critical Strike chance with Cloak and Dagger and Elixir Agility. My final items are Bloodthirster and Black Cleaver for endgame damage and sustenance.
And Tryndamere is honestly a super fun top laner, and he's something that, or someone that I honestly would recommend for somebody that really just wants to hard carry. He's a great champion for almost anybody. Like, this champion is someone that, like, you can hard carry so bad on him. He's not someone you want to pick in like team fight compositions because he's not a great team fighter. But what he is an absolutely mindlessly insane split push. This guy split pushes like no other. So if you're a beginner, this champion is actually someone that I would suggest for you. He's great if you're like, I want to play top lane, then I would actually recommend this for a friend starting out. Like, if you're brand new to League and you're like, I really want to get into the top lane, this guy is great. First of all, he allows you to stay basically in your lane and focus on one thing and not go too much into team fights, which can feel a little too much in the beginning. And he also just has very simple mechanics, but they're very good, and a lot of people actually don't know, like, they think they know what Tryndamere does. I actually took the wrong spell. I need to take Q here, my bad, that was a misclick. But the thing is that a lot of people think they know what his spells does because they're so simple, but they actually don't, because the passive effects can be used in various ways, and there are like actually a lot of depth to this champion, which a lot of people don't really realize, which is weird. Like, it is honestly so weird how few people know how to exploit this guy to honestly be a complete and absolute beast. And I'll get into all those things. But just as an example, like, a lot of people don't know that it's a good idea to be low HP when pushing objectives on Tryndamere, or that you need to maintain your rage high and maybe not use your Q even though that you have full rage or something, or that you've lost a bit of HP, then you might be better off just staying with whatever rage you have at this point. And I'll get into all those stuff and talk about how to see people in or know if somebody's in a bush without having it warded. There are so many things you can do with Tryndamere if you know how his things work. Oh, I actually did not notice that. Need to be a little careful. Okay, it's fair enough. Just from talking and looking at the camera, I actually didn't notice Elise coming up here. Well, he used a little bit of cooldown, so that's fine, and we didn't really lose anything, so... Okay, so... Yeah, this champion is someone I would recommend for anyone. Also, if you're a mediocre and intermediate player, and this is a great champion, he works on higher elos as well. Especially in solo queue, he's insanely good. If you're boosting a teammate or a friend, then this champ is a great champ to do it with, because you can hard carry the games. So if you're like plat and want to boost one of your friends to gold or whatever, then this is a great champion to do it on, because you won't have to rely too much on your teammates, which is really, really nice. So let's talk a little bit about his spells. So first of all, he has his passive, and his passive is called Battle Fury. His passive is called Battle Fury, and what this thing does is that it gives him rage. He gets rage in 3 ways. First of all, he gets it from... Needs to be a little careful here. First of all, he gets it from striking an enemy. So every time he strikes an enemy, he gets... Whoop, I need to be careful. I think this is too risky, dude. Every time he strikes an enemy, then he gets 5 rage. Every time he crits an enemy, he gets 10 rage. And every time he kills an enemy... Please go away. Please... Oh my god. I'm fine up here. I just need to talk. Please, let me talk. Alright, I'm gonna have to, Can I... Oh, nope. Nope. Just run. Okay, so... Okay, let's just recap that really... Oh, God, really? I wouldn't be able to take him, yeah. Whatever, dude. Every time Tryndamere strikes an enemy, he gets 5 rage. Every time he crits, he gets 10 rage. And every time he kills one, he gets 10 rage. So he gets rage in various ways, which is really cool. And you might ask, what do I need the rage for? Isn't it just for healing or something like that? But it's actually not, because another thing this Battle Fury does is that for every 1 Fury you have, you get 0.3 to 0.5% crit. And this means that if you have 100 Fury, then once you're gonna have somewhere between 30 and 50% crit chance while having this. This absolutely means that you're gonna be a beast. Like, you're gonna do an insane amount of damage, and that's absolutely insane. So be aware of that having Fury is a good thing, and sometimes you actually want to not use your heal for this reason. There are more reasons for it. I'll explain that in a second, but there is actually a couple of reasons why you want to hold on to it, and it's not that bad being low HP. It's actually good to be low HP on Tryndamere for a lot of reasons. We'll get much more into that part. So Battle Fury, very simple, gives rage, and for every rage you have, you get crit, and so if you're 100% crit or 100% Fury, you get 50% crit chance, and that's insane. Next up, we have his Q, and his Q is probably a spell that a lot of people have noticed, and I think it's a spell that a lot of people use very poorly, because it's something that they just pop basically whenever it's ready, whenever they've lost a little bit of HP, and that's very, very wrong. Like, you should not be doing that on Tryndamere, because Tryndamere really, actually, he's strongest when he's low HP. So you want to basically get your Fury up and I'm not saying you should be 5% HP, that's not what I'm trying to say. Of course, do this with care, but you need to think about, do I need this HP? That's a really big part of it, because the thing is, your Q, every time you click it, it gives you health back. And it gives health back based on how much Fury you have. So the more Fury you have, the more it heals. But whenever you use your heal, then it consumes your rage, which is not ideal, because that means you lose your crit. And another thing is that your blood loss gives you AD based on your missing health, on missing percentage of HP. In other words, this means that, let's see, I think we can take this fight, to be honest. Alright, that was pretty close. It's fine. Now we'll back off, we'll TP back. He already used his TP, he bought a lot of stuff. And Thormail is actually not that bad for us right now, because we're not really... That's the thing, we don't want a lot of lifesteal or anything, we don't need that. Let's get this, get a control ward, and an extra potion for good measure. Actually, I'm gonna get 2, just so we have it. Let's ward up. Okay, that one's still warded, so let's save our control ward for a little bit.